I was, yeah. Okay. I was waiting for you to join so that as soon as you join, I could sing happy birthday. But now it ruined everything that the microphone wasn't working. But I'm still going to do it. Happy birthday to you.
Hey,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy. All right,
hey,
that's it. That's all I'm doing. Just a little something, just a little something. How has
right.
your day been going?
Thank you.
You're
My day has
welcome.
been really good. I honestly, I did like a whole little self care,
Nice.
mask, hair, all of that kind of day. Just took it
Love it.
easy.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I was honored and excited when we locked this day, and that's
Finally,
special and that's really cool. I appreciate you carving out some time. It means a lot for sure. And I'm excited to talk
absolutely.
to you. I let a lot of my guests know that like when I first started having guests on, I've been having people from all different walks of life, different like
Right.
authors and different entrepreneurs and chefs and fitness people, like all different sort of avenues. And lately, I've been having more and more people in the music space on, and myself being in the music space too. It's been the conversations just have been just really fun, just kind of getting into
Yeah.
another person's mind in terms of like learning, like literally earlier today, as a matter of fact, like 2 hours ago, I had a singer songwriter on, someone who my wife and I randomly met him and his girlfriend at the time when we were on vacation in DR, and we kept in
Oh
contact and
wow.
everything. He's doing some great things, and I was really excited to connect with him. And I've seen the stuff that you've been doing, and I'm excited to talk to you about music. And I want to jump right in and just
Yeah.
kind of ask you, if you don't mind, to introduce yourself to my audience and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am Symphony. That's my birth name, given to me by my dad. My sister's name is Jazz, like the dynamic duo.
Nice, love it.
Yeah, I grew. Thank you.
Yeah.
I grew up in the, doing music. I grew up listening to my dad play the piano, listening to him sing, listening to him coach other people. Um, I will say I took it for granted for a long time because it was always kind of like in my face and just kind of there. Like my dad built a studio in our basement growing up. So like music has literally just been there all the time. And I think the kind of like the fire people get of like, I want to be that and I want to do that to kind of keep going. I kind of got a little complacent because it was right there. Like I could just ask dad. And growing up, I think I didn't really dive into my music because I felt like it was just always going to be there when I wanted to do it. And then once I finally wanted to do it, which was like junior, senior year of high school, and it wasn't that I wasn't singing prior, it was just really pursue it. Junior, senior year of high school, I realized that I got a huge case of stage fright. So, which to this day, I'm still working through.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So like it's just kind of funny how I always thought like I would be able to just jump in and be ready for it, and then I just wasn't.
Right, right.
I just wasn't. But all the way up until now, honestly, it's just a work in progress. Getting to know yourself is the number one thing to perfecting your artistry and being comfortable with yourself by yourself and like in your own room, not comfortable with yourself in front of people, comfortable with yourself by yourself.
Yeah.
And once I'm still, like I said, I'm still perfecting that. There's times where I'll think about things about myself and I'll be embarrassed and I'll be by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So like breaking out of those, trying to fight through some of those barriers as far as like, even the type of music that I sing, it's very jazzy, things that I feel that people aren't listening to very much
Yeah.
nowadays. But I had to get to a point where I was just kind of like, you know what? I want to listen to it. So I'm going to sing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And that's you hit on so many interesting points. I definitely want to talk about the stage fright thing a little bit because I could 1000% relate to that, and I want to kind of unpack that a bit. But definitely making music that is for you primarily is gonna, 9 times out of 10 kind of produce something that is authentic, first of all, and you will be able to find the right audience, you know, with time, right?
Yes.
I really love I love the fact that, like, with music, and it took me a while to kind of get it as a producer and someone who's into composing and that kind of thing. It took me a while to really understand that music is so, I just thought of this word, so ubiquitous, right? It's so, like, there's so many different styles of it, that if someone doesn't is not feeling your music, when I would hear that, it would affect me in a way that I, you know, man, if this person doesn't feel it, does it mean that it's not good, right? When I was younger, I'm thinking 16, 15.
Mm-hmm.
But now, having technology on our side to be able to, you know, put content out there and really get valuable feedback. I mean, my biggest tool that I'm using right now is Reddit. I use Reddit. It's like, literally, I was on there just earlier. Reddit, like, their live streaming platform. It's so incredible that, and even if you wanted to do it, right, that you could get your content out there to people. I was talking to someone in the Netherlands just now. We're having a conversation as I'm playing the piano, and, you know, hundreds of people in there, just random people jumping in, saying hello, seeing what I'm doing. That to me is something so valuable, because, like, the people in my circle, my wife, my friends, you know, parents, family, like, they all know me as Kevin first, and then as later, you know, getting into my artistry. Everyone else, they don't know Kevin. They just know this person who, you know, has a dope backdrop. I'm so proud of the way this little backdrop over here looks. You can't really see it in the camera, but I got I'm trying to think. Yeah, we're gonna do it real quick. I got my like setup over here set in such a way where I got
so nice.
Dark. I got the Kanye like art, you know what I'm saying, over there, and then it's dark over there, but that's Tyler the Creator. Like, I started getting into this guy's music. I'm sure you've heard of him. I don't know if you, like, listen to his music and stuff or anything.
Not a lot of it, but I do know of some of his things. Yeah.
A little, yeah. I've been so, he's probably, like, one of my biggest influences now, because he's a perfect example of what we're talking about.
Right.
Of, like, his content when he first came out versus now, it doesn't even sound like the same artist at all. And part of that could be, you know, you have to maybe sometimes, I guess, be something in order to get your foot in the door. But once you have that fan base, then it gives you more of an opportunity to come into your own natural, you know, who you want to be musically.
It also helps to know why you're doing your music, because for a while when I was writing, especially when I started, I was very much, you know, nice fire going. I was moving fast. I was willing to do so much. And then the more no's that I got and the more critiques that I got, I'm not going to lie, I started doubting myself a lot more. And then I got to a stage where I was just kind of like, everything I did, I was almost looking for it to be similar to what I was hearing, or if not similar, but give me the same energy. Because then I felt like, okay, then this will do well because it gives me the same energy as this other song that's doing well. And I'm like, then at what point is this music mine anymore? At what point am I not just duplicating that artist? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, so once I got there, and then really asked myself the question of, Symphony, what does your music sound like? Just start humming something that's you. Or even something as simple as singing someone else's song in my style. I had a hard time doing that. And it was just like, Symphony, you're humming and doing all these things all the time. But as soon as somebody asked me to sing something, I was singing other people's music, but verbatim, exactly how they did it. And it was no me in it. And at 27 years old, like, I'm still learning the finesse of me within my music. And like I said, music has been a part of me my entire life. And even I'm still working on it. But I will say now the journey is a lot more fun. I look forward to failing a lot more than I used to. And that sounds a little weird, but oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm listening.
Oh no, I was gonna say why I'm so sorry. I did the cardinal sin of interviewers not interrupting your guest. I just wanted to know why do you think that is, that you enjoy the failing aspect of it more now?
Mainly because I've done it enough to realize the beauty in failing. Like I had to learn. I had to really kind of bump my head a couple times and be like, once I failed, be so scared of not being able to get back up, and then realizing like, dang, I got back up 5 seconds quicker than I did the last time. And then taking what's the word I'm looking for? I guess you could say techniques that I learned from failing the first time and using them in the next time. I just started looking at it as learning. So fun fact about me, I enjoy school. Like I liked college, I liked high school, I like school. I enjoy learning. I tell people I'm a student of my craft and of my life, like constantly learning things. And I feel like once I looked at failing as just another way to learn, it just became fun to me. Because then opposed to looking at it as a failure, I was trying to me, it was like a math problem. Now I'm just trying to fix it, or now I'm just trying to understand why this happened. So
I like that. That's definitely spoke to me as well. I could totally relate. Well, first of all, school, you know, I've always been, and even to this day, I mean, half of what I do, I'm a middle school math teacher actually, so I'm in education full time, but I also tutor math and everything as well. So that's like a major part of like
nice.
Who I am, you know, as a person. But definitely when you talk about failing, like, man, musically, you know, and your artistry and just, I guess, in anything in life, like I've kind of accepted, and I've shared with other people too, that like when you do have those hurdles, those failures, those things that seem as if they are failures at the time, like these are the things that inevitably will allow us to learn, like you said, to get stronger, to build character, all these different things. Like we have to allow it to do that, you know, to ourselves by being vulnerable in that sense. But I really, that spoke to me. I could totally relate to that perspective for sure. Jazz and symphony, like that's pretty damn cool right there. Wow, I'm sure you've heard it for, you know, years, your whole life, but that's dope.
Well, you know what's funny? People typically catch on late. Like they'll be like, "Oh, hey Jazz, hey Symph," and then after a while, we'll be like, in honesty, not even like months later, years later, people will be like, "Yo, I just figured it out." I'm like, "Oh yeah, it went right over your head, I guess."
Right, all these years and it just bam out of nowhere. So you mentioned that a lot of your musical influence and your style has a pretty significant sort of jazz component to it. I want to unpack that a little bit. Do you listen to a lot of jazz?
Yes, I listen to a lot of jazz, a lot of R&B, a lot of older music. I listen to a lot of older music, but I can't wait till we get to your question, because once we get to that question, you'll understand what I'm talking. You'll understand kind of like why it's like it's hard to describe what kind of music I like, or like I gravitate to as far as writing, because of what I listen to in the music. I focus more on like the instruments and the track. Then sometimes I do the artist. And so sometimes like I'll listen to things and I'll be like, dang, I want to hear the band. I'm not that the artist isn't doing their thing, but I just want to hear the band.
That resonates with me too. I mean, as a producer, as someone who I really appreciate amazing, unique, different, beautiful sounding soundscapes. Like I really do. Like I was thinking about, you know, like you mentioned before, having your style on certain songs that maybe are popular songs, but like your kind of twist on it. So similar to that, from a production perspective, I like the fact that, and this doesn't, I don't know if there's a benefit or not of having this, but I was just kind of recognizing, I even tweeted about it the other day, that you look at a production group like the Neptunes, and you look at the fact that pretty much every single one of their songs, at least for me, maybe it's because I produced, I'm not sure, but every single one of their songs, I can tell that either definitely was produced by the Neptunes, or it most likely was, and I'll look it up. Yep, there it is. They have a signature sound, and I really think that's a special thing that I'm sure singer-songwriters as well, any form of, you know, I guess maybe even more so singers and songwriters, because it's, you know, their voice versus, I guess, the instruments that are being played. But I think that's an important thing, to have your your niche. Is it niche or niche? I don't know all these years. Niche, maybe?
Honestly, I feel like I might have. I say it both ways. I don't
Both
think I
ways.
choose a way.
You
I
alternate.
think I
You
think I
alternate so
say
that you're
both
never wrong.
ways.
Or you're
Yeah.
always wrong, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, half and half, 50% of the time. Yeah. That's dope. Yeah, so I don't know. I definitely just appreciate that. And I'll mention something similar to that to what I mentioned to my earlier guests too, which is that, just for me, realizing that having music in my life is so amazing and beautiful and something that I can never ever take for granted. Like
Yeah.
sitting in front of the piano, and I'm sure you can relate to this in many different facets, whether it's listening to jazz or writing. And I want to talk to you about writing a little bit too, because I need to up my skills. I got my pencil here. I got my paper. I want to start putting some lyrics down to some of the stuff that I make, and I want to experiment with that, because that's literally a thing. As of maybe a few hours ago, I was just thinking about that, and it's very exciting to me. So I want to talk about that. But yeah, actually, we'll dive into it right now. I want to know a little bit about the writing process. Like, are you someone who, you're like, okay, I want to write a song right now, so I'm gonna go, late night, I'm gonna go in the studio, start writing down? Are you someone that goes in the booth, hears a beat, looks it up on YouTube, and maybe finds it something that you like, and then you're like, listen to it, and then you just start singing whatever's in your mind? Like, walk me through that process a little bit. Like, how does that look for you?
For me, there's a couple of ways. The most prominent, the one that I feel is like my go-to, is that I typically hear melodies in my head. Like, I'll be humming. And majority of the music that I've written have been written with no track. Like, it's just melodies that I hear. And then I usually lay it down a cappella, because I'm also a big background girl. So I love background vocals. So I'll fill up the entire project and with harmonies and things. And I run into this problem often, that I usually can't find producers that, if I say, hey, even if I scratch the background vocals and just give you the main melody, like, if I sing this, can we create something? And being that, like I said, I like the instruments, and I focus a lot on the tracks. I can tell you what I'm looking for. I can tell you as far as the instrument I'm looking for. I'll even sing you what it sounds like. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very hands-on, because my dad also produces. So like I said, I grew up watching him do things like that. So I can almost hear the whole composition of this piece in my head, but I typically start with the vocals first. That kind of tells me where to go, because then trying to start with tracks throw me sometimes, because a lot of them are very repetitive, and I can't say that I write very, very, very straight. Like, I'll modulate, or I'll bring it down a little bit. And if the beat is just staying right here, I'm like, I can't do what my brain is hearing, because the beat's not changing with me. So, like, I'm not going to lie, writing to tracks, up until recently, like they say, practice makes perfect. So I've been doing it a lot more recently, and it has become a lot easier. But I'd probably prefer to hear a melody, or just, like I said, I'll be humming, and something will come to my head, and then I'll get the melody. Or a lot of the times, as far as if words come first or does the melody come first, sometimes I'll just be having conversations like this, deep thought. And my friends and I have this thing called lyric moments. So they'll say something, I'm like, that's fire, write that down. Write that down. And then, sometimes you'll just go back, look at that lyric, and it'll bring you back to the conversation. And then I'll just start writing a song about it. And a lot of the time it starts off as free writing, and then I'll start humming kind of I feel for it, and just reading what I wrote, and then just taking away words. And then it just kind of turns into something.
Wow. I'm so glad I asked the question, because getting into the mind of someone who has that level of expertise, and sort of like not analytical, but just that level of precision, with the process, is always very. I love that type of conversation and that type of information. It helpful for me, and certainly helpful for people out there that are, thinking about getting into this space. I want to unpack one of the things that you mentioned that kind of spoke to me just now. So you have in your head this melody, of like, okay, I think this melody, a beat or a song that goes like this would sound nice with me singing like this. That's what you're kind of saying there. Given that to a producer, I'm as someone who can play by ear. If a producer can't play by ear, then that would be so difficult for him or her to be able to do that, right? Versus like just trying something and seeing if it sounds good, like, oh, that sounds good, and then saying, here, try to write to this. So I guess that's probably like one of the most important things for someone like yourself in that process, to have someone, that has that sort of ability to listen to it and be able to replicate it. Is that kind of the way that no, I was gonna say, is that kind of the way that it you see it as well?
Yeah, I've run into a lot of problems. Well, let me not say it like that. I've run into a lot of producers who typically are used to the more typical standard, like I said, more repetitive, intro, verse, hook, bridge, hook. That's the end of the song. And then, which is cool, I can write like that. That's not an issue. But like I said, sometimes the bridge doesn't change the way I need it to change and things like that. So I do find myself running into problems like a lot when it comes down to that, because, and I hate to say it because it's not shade at all to anybody, but nowadays, typically you run into producers who work with rappers and people who do more of the current style of music, which I know that I don't. So I tend to work more with actual instrumentalists than just, standard producers.
Gotcha. I got you. That makes total sense. And I think having that knowledge, wherewithal, and that sort of like intentionality about who it is that you work best with, vibe best with in terms of the process. I think that's very, very important, because at the end of the day, we know that there's a lot of people doing music out there, of course, and the fact is, the good aspect of that is that you could, it takes time, of course, like to find the right person, but you could like explore that, and there's obviously a ton of tools out there that will allow us to do just that. So it sounds like you're well on your way in that process. So that's super dope.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So let me jump into, let's see. Let's jump into one of the two questions that I sent you on the email. I want to talk, and we're going to close out later with the question that I know you're waiting for, that my audience is waiting for, that I'm waiting for. We're all waiting for it. We want to know who those 5 artists are. We're going to talk about that. I want to talk about the Billboard question. If you have a chance to put, something on a billboard, anything you want, what do you think you would like for that billboard to say?
So I came up, well, that didn't really come up. There's 2 things that stick with me a lot, just in general. So I was making an Instagram post like last year, and I'm like, I gotta find a caption. I was like, a caption that really depicts how I'm feeling right now. And literally since that caption, it's kind of stuck with me. So that billboard would say, pay attention to your details and forget their expectations. And that just kind of falls in line with just who I've been as a person my entire life. Just, paying more attention to my details. Even the things I would quote unquote call bad, details don't mean necessarily good things, but just everything about myself, and understanding that this is me and there's literally nothing I can do about it. And so that's that. And then the other one I was fighting with, besides that one, which kind of falls in the same kind of love yourself category, is just say it loud, I am love. And just, I'm really big on people understanding that everything about yourself, and everything, I mean, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that contributes to who you are is the story. You keep trying to figure out what's the special sauce that everybody got, and why this person is popping like that and popping like this. It's not because they all look alike. It's not because they all go to the same person for the same surgery. It's literally because that person is who he is, and she's who she is, and she who she is. and that's it, and that's all. And I feel like the more people realize like that you are love, exactly what you want people to love is all over you every day, all day. So
like that on a billboard, someone driving by. That's why I love asking this question. Like these are the things that people need to be reminded of sometimes, probably because you don't always feel that way, unfortunately. Right? You don't always feel that way, and but it's so important to for that to be reiterated. So I definitely appreciate that, and I'll be remiss. Actually, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. It's not really a commercial, but I need to turn my camera off and then back on. So we're gonna do that right now. And I mentioned to you probably can't hear me. I mentioned to one of my other guests. So what I need to do on here is I need to turn the camera off because after about 28 minutes, this camera that I'm using as a webcam, it has like a thing where it can't continuously record. So it like freezes the video and it looks like I'm having like a seizure or something, and it freaked one of my guests out before. And so what I thought about doing, because I have all these, the paper that I held up today, this one here is actually, I had a coaching call earlier today, and I was just telling this guy, he's a mentor of mine. I used to work with him at Verizon, and he's now retired, but he's working towards his coaching certification. So you'd be a professional coach, and you need a certain number of hours in order to do that. And I was just telling him how, and it seems like every week when I'm talking to him about my professional sort of endeavors, my YouTube channel, my guests, my music, all these different things, like there is a nonstop flow of ideas of things that I want to do. And it's exciting. But I told him, like, he said, we have about two months left or so, 2.5 months before he ends the agreement that ends us working together in March. And I basically said, he said, like, what can I help you with in these 2 months? And I said, what I can use some help with is the fact that I have these ideas, but one of the things that I know about myself is that I don't follow through effectively with things when there's too much going on. And right now, there is too much going on. There's like, literally today, I'm thinking, I'm in the car, I'm going to the post office to drop something off, and I'm like, when I do my piano thing on Reddit Live, and a lot of the time people have questions about how long have I been playing, and then when I tell them it's been about 2 years, they're in always utter disbelief, like how are you this good at playing the piano after only 2 years?
Oh, 2 years, seriously, because
exactly. So I give them a little bits and pieces there. But today I was like, I want to write a book, a short book, ebook on my piano journey. I want to do that. That's something I want to do. I'm going to start doing that, right?
Definitely.
And that's like, and then that
I'd
leads
read
to.
it.
You would see.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I love things like that. I love like coming up with these ideas and then like literally sat in the car for 30 minutes and I'm like, oh, it can be not too long but not too short, like a nice 30-40 pages, not like a crazy read, like a nice little, and then I'm thinking about the cover, I'm thinking about the title, I'm thinking of all these things, and it was just like, it was exciting as hell. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do this. All right, there's not that many barriers or hurdles that's gonna prevent me from being able to do it. So I say all that to say that it's damn, I forgot my train of thought about why I put this list together. But having these different things and being able to just, I guess, kind of focus in on them and make sure that they're all getting done one after another. But like you don't have to worry about all of them at the same time, right? You can kind of prioritize. And that's exactly what he said. He said, Kev, what I can help you with is we can talk about doing what I just did. I won't hold the paper up again, but coming up with like 10 of like the first things you think of. Some of these things on here are what? I want apparel. I want to start selling apparel on my YouTube channel. Since I monetized my channel, I want to have some cool, dope apparel that I'm not necessarily designing, but I'm paying someone to like make dope stuff for me that people can buy to support, but also buy because they feel like it's dope and they want to rock it. That's something that's on here for sure. Piano book we just talked about. Stream schedule. I stream at random times on Reddit. Sometimes you have 30 people in there. Sometimes you have 100,000 people, and I'm not even exaggerating. Hundreds of thousands of people joining a live stream. And a lot of the times the question is, oh, when do you stream? When do you go on? And I've been thinking for like 8 months now, 6, 7, 8 months, like to come up with a set schedule. I'm streaming Wednesday mornings, Sunday evenings, and Thursday, like a specific time so people know. I haven't done it yet. I'm still like trying to get everything perfect. Which is not necessarily always the best thing. It's like wait too long in order for it to get perfect.
Oh, but, yeah, that's the story of my life.
You know the deal. You can relate to that, huh? Like you have to eventually just jump in, right? Yeah. See, I was just rambling there. But
the idea of just kind of starting sometimes it's just like literally that's the hardest part, just starting. Because once I start, I'm fine. It's just getting pushing the button to go.
And just a little nudge in that direction. Did you watch the Soul movie, the Disney one?
I didn't finish it. I fell asleep and I haven't gone back to finish it. But what I saw so far, I absolutely love it. I feel like it's the epitome of a musician's heart. Like it is the epitome of it.
You can relate, right? Whatever that goal is that you have as a musical artist. In his case, he wanted, to be doing that professionally, playing the piano and all that. My case, I want to place my music in front. Like, I want to place it in a video game, place it in a commercial, cartoon. Like, that's going to, like, when that does happen, and it will, when it does, it's going to be a really, I think, just a great feeling. Because I've been thinking about that for quite a while now. So that's, like, the intentional focus for 2021 is, like, to get these placements popping,
That's cool. My dad is into that. Like, so listening back to a lot of my his old tracks that he created, my dad is very theatrical with his music, very theatrical. But my dad always said like he wanted to create like a score, like the music for movies. Like he always wanted to do that. So that's very similar. So that's kind of cool. Huh?
Yeah, that's really cool. So does your dad still make music nowadays? Still into it?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if you can see it. I'll move you guys this time. Give you guys a little tour of my living room. Show you what my living room looks like. Turn the camera around. It's just literally. Yeah. So, so the whole house is constantly in music, the whole shebang.
Every room has a keyboard or a piano of sorts in there, or some kind of instrument in every single room. The bathroom,
some type of instrument.
Ukulele.
And if it's not if it's no instrument, then everybody sings. So this is the instrument.
There you go. It's always with you, right?
All the time.
All right, we're gonna jump into dream concert. 5 artists, living or dead. Who is gonna be at your dream concert, my friend?
Okay. So fun fact, I've never been to a concert. Out.
That's what I'm sorry, say that again. You say you never been to a concert?
Never.
Wow. Okay.
Only concert I've ever been to, and it wasn't like a big concert, is Lauryn Hill in Jersey at the Wilmot. Is that what is it? The Wilmot Montclair? I think it is called the Wilmot. But only concert I've ever been to. But anyway, seeing concert. Now, like I said, the reason why this question was so hard for me to answer because you said artist. And I'm like trying to think of somebody who's like their music I want to hear a lot, like see in concert. But a lot of people, it had, like I said, it had nothing to do with the artist. I just want to hear that song played live by a band.
Right.
So
I like that.
Going strictly off the artist though, Beyonce definitely. She's definitely up there. I just want to see how she breathes because I'd be passed out. Beyonce. Michael Jackson, Shaka Khan. Shaka is a good one. This is so difficult. I was going like Erykah Badu. Oh my God, I should have said her first. Got to see Erykah live. I got one more. Live. Can I, like, those 4 were like my top. This 5th one was driving me nuts because I feel like it has to be good. I'm gonna go with Tiana Taylor.
Oh, she's good too. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah. So Beyonce, Michael, Shaka, Tiana Taylor, and Erica.
Are we ever gonna live in a world where we can do that? We can see a concert like that, like Living and Dead? Maybe, right? Holograms are a thing
I,
already, but that's not the same thing.
yeah, don't they do the hologram things?
Yeah. I saw Michael Jackson. I saw Michael Jackson and I actually cried. Actually, believe it or not, teared up a little bit. My wife
Really?
and I,
I
I
was gonna
did,
say,
I
was
did
it like
in Vegas. It was in Vegas, and we went with another couple for my 30th birthday. And yeah, they surprised me. They know I love Michael Jackson. He would be probably number one on my list, and Mozart would be on my list as well. Actually, I would love to see like a classical.
ooh?
Yeah, for
See,
sure.
I
Like
didn't even go classical because that's a
that's a
whole
whole
nother ball
nother
game
can
for
of
me.
worms you opened up there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I love classical music. So
Oh yeah, yeah. It's no, it's beautiful. I think, and then I'll talk about Michael Jackson first. I cried because it was I never had a chance to see him in concert, and this was like the closest thing to it, and it was amazing. It was like seeing him there. I mean, we were pretty far back, so it was like we couldn't really tell it was a hologram, so it kind of worked out being far back. But I looked over at my
right.
friend who was there. I was like, wait a sec. Like this guy's sleeping over here. I was like, how are you sleeping when Michael Jackson is on
How
stage
you
right now,
sleep
bro?
on Mike?
I was like, come on, man. He had one too many drinks, maybe. I guess. I guess. But no, that's a super dope. That's a super dope list there. I think what I was gonna say about classical music is that I wonder if if these artists at the time, if they ever thought to themselves that centuries later my music is still going to be extremely relevant to the point that it is right
Extremely
now.
relevant.
That's pretty fascinating, I think. Very
Yeah, I
fascinating.
think about that often. I also realize that a lot of artists, as much when they say that they're scared, sometimes it's not necessarily even about the failure. Like I also realize that a lot of my fear came from this is gonna and I always say I don't know how to say this without it sounding almost a little narcissistic, but sometimes the fear came from of not feeling good enough, and sometimes fear came from hearing a song that I wrote and being like, this is bomb, and being afraid that if I let this go and this jumps off, am I ready for the responsibility of what comes along with it? And then you keep things kind of to yourself because it's just like, I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. And I found myself going through that a lot too, because in reality, and that's another thing I feel like artists have to get into not talk like only focusing on the things you got to work on. It's like really sit there sometimes, just be like, yo, I'm bomb. Like I can write. And I had to get into that. Like I'm a bomb writer. Before I would never go on anybody's camera and say something like that, but it's okay for me to say that. Like, I think that I'm a pretty dope writer. And I had to get into that because then I would meet people and they were telling me I'm dope and then they expect dope things from me. And I was almost afraid that I wasn't going to be able to produce. And then the opposite was happening. And then I realized once I was able to produce, I was being asked to do it more. And the responsibility was scaring me more than the actual task. So I was just like, you gotta checking yourself is the best thing you can do to keep moving forward.
Symphony, you hit it right on the head there. Like finding that, and if you're a humble person historically, if you're that individual and you do believe that you have a significant talent in whatever form of art that you specialize in. I very, very, very much struggled with exactly what you said, which is to say, I know for a fact that I have some incredible sounding music that hasn't seen the light of day yet. I know it. I'm listening to it. I'm like, yo, this sounds crazy. Like this could be in this next game. Like I know that. But I struggled with it, meaning like really saying that or talking up my content. It was a video that I saw, and it basically was it kind of in a nutshell was saying like when you're faced with not decision maker, someone who has some pull or something like that, and you're talking to this individual for the first time, you have that opportunity to share something with them, him or her. They were basically saying like there's different ways that people kind of approach that. Some people are just real like laid back about it, like, you know, yeah, I got some stuff, like not really talking too good about it. Some people like, yo, you need to hear this right now. This is the best thing. Like some people, both ends of the spectrum, and he was basically just saying that you really, just like a lot of things in life, you really want to be somewhere in the middle with those two, because you don't want to oversell, but you also can't undersell your art
yourself
ever.
Yeah.
That's not even a thing. And I wanted to ask you about this. You were talking earlier about stage fright, and maybe we'll close with this actually, because we are getting close to the time. You talked about stage fright, and I'm interested in I want to share a little quick anecdote with you, and then I want to know, like, from your experience a little bit, like what you could, you know, add to the conversation. Is that playing the piano, there was a time not too long ago where my heart would beat extremely fast when I play in front of people, and I really just couldn't do it well. Like even like my wife coming down, or my parents were over. My wife she likes telling this story because she thinks it's so funny that my parents were here and I was trying to play something for them a while ago, and I was like it's something that she's heard me play countless times. My parents were here and I tried to play. I was like, oh, come downstairs. Like they came all the way down. It's not like it's far to come downstairs. They came all the way down. They're sitting there. Now it's like all attention on me kind of thing. And I froze up. I couldn't play it properly, right? And my dad was like, you know, he was like, okay, you know, all right, you know, whatever. My mom was like, oh, that's good, Kevy. Like she was like trying to cheer me on and stuff. And Jess just my wife found that so funny. But it's funny because like I'm not sure why or what's changed. Maybe definitely my confidence in the instrument, definitely the time that I've been putting into it, and definitely my repetitions of playing for people. They're not in the room with me, but they are there listening to me. And now it's not even a thing at all for me to play. I mean, when I have an opportunity to be playing in front of people again, time will tell if any of those nerves come back. But when I had a chance to play at my school, they asked me if I would play at the school that I teach at, and they said, hey, we're having Martin Luther King assembly at the end of the month. Are you, you know, would you be willing to play as the students are entering the gym? And I was like, I got so nervous, and I was like, I can't breathe right now reading this email. I was that scared for that opportunity there. And ultimately I did it. And once I did it, I'm sitting there like, yo, this was an incredible experience. It was such a dope, beautiful experience to play for people, to have them enjoy it. And then just when you know the deal, when you're in your element like that, it's just, you just feel it. So I've overcome that, and I'm excited for when the time comes again where I'm able to play, you know, in front of a group of people, like physical. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit, and like I said, we'll close with that. Like you mentioned you're still working through that. So like if you could maybe unpack a little bit about maybe if there's anything that you are doing that you see is an effective tool for you to kind of get more comfortable with the stage fright.
Exactly what you said. Just singing. Like I wasn't singing in front of people. So a lot of what I talk about how I feel like I took music for granted because like I said, it was always there. I used to sing in church all the time, but it was church. Like, and so it was like people I was always around. So it didn't bother me too much in church. But like I said, until I got to high school, wasn't until I started actually performing. And then I joined this choir, which was a more advanced choir, and it required solos, and I always wanted one. And I would go home and sing the solo by myself and be killing it in the bathroom, come back, you know, to school the next day to go try out, and my voice is trembling. And the thing is about my stage fright, everybody has it. Some people you can tell that they have it, but they're getting through it. Mine is crippling to the point where you wouldn't be able to tell that I can sing at all. Like it messes with my tone, it messes with pitch, it messes with everything. And then I got to a point where I got comfortable singing more in front of people, but I started singing in a group when I was in college. So then it was like, I'm cool with singing in front of people as long as I'm singing with people, then I'm good. And I kind of broke out of I broke out of each stage by just honestly going back to what we said earlier, just throwing myself in it and said, oh, Symphony, you got to do it. Like, I just started saying yes to people. Like, oh, Symphony, can you perform? And opposed to thinking about it for 30 seconds before I answered, I just say yes. I'd be mad at myself afterwards. But, but I just say yes and then go do it and then realize that, oh, wow, people do like my voice. So, Symphony, why are you so scared? And then, honestly, it's just a matter of talking to yourself. You got to just talk yourself out of it because in reality, like you said, you can play the piano. I know I can sing. And even if I may not be amazing, I can hold a note enough for you to say, hey, that's good. And I'm like, that should be enough for me to not be, shaking in my boots every time I sing. So, it's real, doing it definitely is for me was the key. The more I just decided, okay, I'm going to perform. I know I'm scared, but I'm just going to tell people yes. And the more I kept doing it, the more it was just like, this is just what I do. I had to make it normal. It was way too taboo for me for a while.
Yeah. That's huge. That's huge. Knowing that you have to do it in order to get better. And then also you said something really, really significant that I found a lot of value in, which is like when someone asks you, just say yes. Don't even allow for the doubt to creep into your mind. You might, until the day comes when you're doing it, you might be nervous and anxious and, man, why did I agree to do it? But you know that, I mean, it's kind of like, it's a proven fact, right? That the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get at it and the less nervous you'll be. And if your goals are what your goals are, if they are what mine are, then this is a necessary part of the process. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's significant. That's big. That's definitely big.
Yeah.
So one more question for you. It just came to mind that I think I want to get in the habit of asking all my guests that are artists or that are doing something ambitious, that type of thing, is let's go in a time machine. Let's jump ahead a few years. And you don't have to tell me exactly where you see yourself. I think that sometimes could be like a difficult question. I don't know exactly, but I just want to know, like, at a high level, like what do you see as some of your accomplishments that you would have had 5 years from now? Like, what are some of the things that you kind of want to have completed, I guess, within the next few years?
Definitely at least 2 full projects. And for me, a project consists of visuals, storyline, the music content. Just, I want to give people bodies of works to be able to go back to. Like, I'm in love right now. Symphony made this good album that just kind of spoke to me about this type of love. Or, I'm going through this right now. You should be, I want I almost want to be like just a resource for people to kind of come to when and use music to speak to them again. Right now, don't get me wrong, music is lit, it's all about keeping you hype. But I want to bring back that almost conversational music, like music that I'm singing, you can almost answer me while I'm talking to you, like, while you're listening to the music. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, girl, that's exactly how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So I just kind of want to bring back music that kind of, does that for you. Also, I'm big on community work. And just like you, I get 1,000,005 ideas. I had 1,000,005. I always got ideas. Like you said, I always got ideas. And a lot of it has to do with the youth and just giving back to our communities. So my biggest thing, I want to put together a nonprofit that honestly, it's just a resource hub, for people of color. Like, I love my people, like, from the depths of my soul, I love my people. And I just want to be able to be a source where they can come and get the information that they need on whatever it is that they're looking for and just be properly motivated. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can you can find a lot of negative energy out here. There's plenty of it. And just to be a nice hub where, like I said, where people can go for all kinds of information as far as trying to feed your family, trying to clothe your family, trying to house your family, trying to keep your kids active, getting them tutored, just in all ways, shape, or form, just provide those resources. I know a lot of people who do a lot of different things as far as helping and, you know, helping families and mothers and fathers as well. So that's really my biggest thing, is trying to find a way to solidly get my hands into community work, not just, you know, hey, I want to donate here and donate there. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with it. Speaking of donations, there'll be something on my Instagram tomorrow, January 14th, about some, just like I said, just a way to give back, a way to just put people in motion and understanding that giving is just as rewarding as receiving. It really is. Like, if not, to me, more rewarding. So definitely that. So music and, like I said, community work are like my two biggest things. And working on myself. Like, I used to think that my artistry was my alter ego, and I'm starting to learn more that it's more of who I am, and what I've been living has just been kind of this simmered down version of who I was meant to be.
Wow. I love that. That's really, really powerful stuff. And that's such a nice place to...
Ooh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're good.
Thought my phone was about to fall.
No, it's all right. It's all good. That's such a nice place to leave it to wrap up. So I'm gonna we're gonna close out with that. I just want to say thank you again for joining. I really, really do appreciate the time, and I look forward to collaborating with you somehow. Again, this is a collaboration of sorts, right? But definitely in the future, musically, I would love to work with you on. I was just envisioning like a straight piano ballad, like, and I would love for you to have something in your mind, be like, yo, Kev, this is what I'm thinking. You hum it, send it to me. I'm like, all right, I can play that. Boom. Like, I would love to do that. That would be a fun project for both of us, I think. So
I'm gonna send things your way.
Yeah, hit me up. We got the rapport. We're cool. We're tight. We seem like we know each other for years now.
It really does.
For the first time. So yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing, and I like I said, I do appreciate it so much, and I'm looking forward to getting this episode out for my audience to be inspired and uplifted with. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for creating such a great platform to do this, and just, like I said, just talk about it, get it out.
That's what it's all about, my friend. You have a wonderful night, okay?
You as well. Thank you so much for having me.